Not one chronicler noted her name. In Rome's moral calculus, she did not exist. Meanwhile, Gaius Valerius Maximus continued to fight. 2 more victories that month, and he refused the customary rewards each time. Murmurs ran through the gladiator barracks. Some said he had gone soft, seduced by foreign cults preaching mercy. Others whispered he was cursed by the Dion, haunted by the ghosts of the defeated. The truth was simpler. He remembered what it meant to be human. Yet his defiance was dangerous. On September 15, 79 AD, Senator Quintus Aurelius Semicus formally complained. His nephew, a junior gladiator, had refused the allocation of a female captive, inspired by Maximus. The complaint forced Rome's elite to publicly confront a practice everyone knew existed but rarely acknowledged: the distribution of women as spoils of war. Debates in the Senate were brutal both in rhetoric and implication. Conservative voices invoked tradition. Our ancestors conquered both body and spirit, they declared. Reformists warned of rebellion. Martyrs are born from humiliation. Dead rebels vanish. Survivors carry memory. Political survival, not morality, drove the discussion. Provincial governors reported increased resistance linked to Rome's treatment of female captives. The empire, they argued, was radicalizing its enemies, undoing the purpose of conquest. By October 1, 79 AD, the Senate enacted the Lex Captivity. Public spectacle of female prisoners as rewards was banned. Private exploitation remained possible, but the arena could no longer showcase such humiliation to the cheering masses. The law did not free the enslaved, but it removed the audience, a small, symbolic acknowledgement that even Rome had limits. Gaius's story did not end there. 3 more consecutive victories earned him freedom. His final act as a freedman was purchasing the liberty of Camaiscus, almost certainly the woman who had stood beside Sabina in the arena. 1 life spared. 1 act of resistance in a system designed to erase humanity on an industrial scale. It was a raindrop in a sea of blood, but it mattered. Archaeological evidence now confirms the precision of Rome's cruelty. In 2018, Dr. Isabella Fortunato and her team unearthed the eastern hypogeum, revealing small stone chambers with iron rings, drainage channels, and traces of repeated human suffering. Pottery fragments, bedding remnants, and carved scratches marked years of captivity. Carbon dating confirmed their construction coincided with the Colosseum's opening, proving these spaces were planned from the start, not improvised. Bronze tags, stamped with captiva, and the years of Dean suppression, confirmed textual accounts of allocation. Historians debate the frequency of such events. Some claim it was rare, others note the infrastructure and records indicate it was routine. Gladiators, meanwhile, became both tools and victims of the same system. Their fame was fetishized, their sweat and blood sold as aphrodisiacs, their bodies used to entertain and exploit. Wealthy women bribed guards to meet them. Public and private acts of cruelty intertwined, creating a civilization where violence, performance, and domination became indistinguishable. The psychological machinery of Rome was as efficient as its aqueducts. Human suffering was standardized, cataloged, and normalized. The ethical lines blurred. Gaius, once a slave, once a killer for survival, now held authority over those weaker than himself. One choice to preserve a fragment of humanity became a political statement, a ripple in an empire-wide system of cruelty. Even modern historians and filmmakers struggle to reconcile this. The 2000 film Gladiator whispers of brutality, but avoids the systemic exploitation that underpinned the games. Yet reality was far worse. Infrastructure, bureaucracy, and ritual ensured that human beings were reduced to inventory, spectacle, and tools of state terror. The story of Sabina, of Camaiscus, and of countless unnamed victims exposes the heart of this system. It warns that civilization is measured not by monuments, roads, or marble, but by the treatment of those with no power. Rome engineered marvels that lasted millennia while simultaneously crafting chambers for dehumanization. Power twisted every hand it touched, shaping ordinary people into instruments of cruelty and turning survival into complicity. And so, Sabina's death, quietly succumbing to infection beneath the Colosseum, becomes emblematic. A life erased, overlooked, and unrecorded, except for the faint archaeological traces, the scraps of evidence historians piece together, the whispers that survived centuries of silence. The lessons extend beyond Rome. History, when confronted, reveals uncomfortable truths. Spectacle can justify cruelty. Tradition can normalize atrocity. Civilization can coexist with systemic moral failure. Humanity can flicker briefly, as with Gas's choices, but institutions are more enduring than individual compassion. Rome's machinery of control, entertainment, and dehumanization was not accidental. It was designed, maintained, and celebrated. Victories became permission. Slaves and prisoners became commodities. Blood became currency. And in this system, the line between civilization and barbarism was not measured by architecture or conquest, but by how it treated those who could not fight back. Sabina, lost in that machinery, reminds us of what is unseen in history. Her faint traces, discovered centuries later, confront us with a question still relevant today. How often do we overlook suffering because it is inconvenient, hidden, or inconvenient to our spectacle of power? In Rome, the blood on the sand was not always from battle. Sometimes it was from innocence, from power without accountability, from humanity ignored while cruelty entertained. History's darkest chapters endure beneath its grandest monuments, and though one gladiator's choice could save a life, it could never halt the machine. The empire thrived on efficiency, spectacle, and control, leaving humanity flickering in the shadows. Subtle, terrifying, and meticulously calculated, Rome's arena was both stage and laboratory. Every scream, every bruise, every whispered name lost to the marble and sand told the story of an empire that perfected cruelty as performance. Sabina's story, though brief, is a window into that reality. The faint scratches in stone, the tags marked with her name, the small traces of life once confined and controlled remain. They remind us that the machinery of power can persist long after individual acts of courage are forgotten. And in that lesson lies the true horror and the enduring relevance of Rome's empire. Brilliance in construction, emptiness in conscience, and cruelty perfected as ritual.